Hello traders, welcome to the recap for the 6th of March. And it was a good day today. Did 35 pips on 6 trades, had 3 wins, 2 break even, and 1 loss. At the same time, it wasn't perfect. I definitely could have done a little bit better. I gave up some pips where I was positive, particularly on this third trade in here. And that's just something that, it happens when you're trading, especially if you are looking for a little bit more rewards. Sometimes you have to be willing to risk some of the pips that you are already up. And in most cases, you do get a chance to still get out with some pips. In this case, I ended up taking a break even. So we'll go over that in a moment. But yeah, just to start things off here, had the first trade right at Frankfurt Open. Things were obviously very tight at this point. And so I was being very conservative in terms of my risk management. When things didn't break up on this type 2 here and started to come back down, I exited that trade. And I basically moved my stop to about half risk. And maybe it was a bit too aggressive because as it turned out, I could have had a much better exit on that trade. But, that's kind of the way I play things, especially in that Frankfurt hour. It is a highly risky time. Price is very prone to quick turns. And so I just wanted to minimize my risk on that trade, get out of that, and then look for the next opportunity, which did come here. And even though we were, again, in quite a flat market, the timing was perfect. I liked the M5 on it. And so I went for this trade. Didn't get the best entry here, didn't get the best fill. Was hoping I would get a little bit higher. But that did convince me to try to hold through this 30-50 level here, see what would happen over the half hour if we would get a push further down for London Open. But we pretty quickly bounced, and I just wanted to get those pips off the table. I wasn't feeling confident in the downside on this trade based on the way the move down had been. And after that, we started to kind of bottom out, started to turn. And I did go for the long here that I mentioned. And again, it was a little bit risky in that I had the 30-50 that I was trading right into. It was something where I took a little bit more of an advanced entry. I let the price pull back a little bit, gave myself a bit more conservative entry on the trade. It wouldn't have mattered either way, but it reduced my drawdown slightly. And then when price broke up, I was looking for these highs up in here. And when we broke down, yeah, I could have taken some pips off the table on this trade. At the most, I was up about 16 pips. I seem to recall, being up around 15 and a half, 16 pips with the spread out of there. And I was hoping for that extra leg up into here to either take the pips right off the table or to look and see what the reaction was going to be. And that didn't happen. Most of the time in a case like this, you will at least see a second attempt, but it didn't happen here. It was a quick reaction, moved right back down. And so I just took a break even on that trade. And so even though it is a little bit frustrating to see 15 or 16 pips that you're positive and giving all of that up, it's something that you have to balance over the course of 10, 20, 30 trades. If you do have that mindset of holding out to see if your targets are met, more often than not, if you plan things well, they probably are going to be. And so you're going to make more pips in the long run by doing that. So you can't really look at it on an individual basis of this one trade didn't work. This one trade, I gave up these 15 pips. So now every time I'm going to take 10 as soon as it goes, plus 10 pips. You have to really think in terms of a lot longer than that and a bigger sample size. So that's kind of the way I think of this. And I think that helps me, especially getting into trades afterwards and making sure I am holding them the length of time that I plan. So that leads well into the next trade here, which you can see we had a tight consolidation. We held at this 30-50 for a long time and then had a pretty perfect type 1 in here for a short. And based on that consolidation, based on the time it spent in here, I was thinking that we could have a good momentum move, a little bit of a breakout. And so I was willing to hold this a fair bit longer. And I gave it a few chances to push lower before I did take the 14 pips on it. As it turns out, I could have actually had a fair bit more, around 10 pips more in that move. Of course, I probably wouldn't get it right to the edge, but there was probably at least another 5 pips I could have made on that with a bit more patience. But at the same time, I was pretty happy with the way that went and how long I actually did hold it, because I gave it a pretty good amount of time to push lower before I took the exit on that one. And from there, We did have a little bit of movement over the course of the London lunch, but as you know, that's a time that I don't normally trade. Not exactly a high probability time, except in certain market conditions, which we didn't really have today. And we talk about that in the Elite Range Bar course, the type of conditions that sometimes lead to good moves at London. And from there, I only had a couple trades during New York. The first one was rather aggressive here. After the news, we spiked down, had kind of a false break at this level. Also some things we look for a type 3, and so I gave this a try. I even gave it a chance to come into a little bit of drawdown to make a higher move. I did feel like this was going to probably make a move higher. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out. So again, I took break even when it finally gave the last try and then failed and fell. You could tell based on this price action that was pretty much the point where it made its decision. It barely peaked above this previous high. It came down very quickly. It was very likely to break lower. So just took the break even on that. And then finally, one last type 1, which was very ideal in a nice trending move, and took this one down below the 1.3 level. Gave it a little bit of a chance, but again, just wanted to get the pips because today wasn't a day where I was seeing any really big runners. Even the ones that I exited a little bit early weren't going that much more, just 5 or 10 pips. So it just took the 14 pips on that trade. So that's it for today. Hope you guys did well. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you later.